Hey, this is Kori Raishon from W Productions, DPVN, and our new movement called N2D'EE'P. We are on the phone today with Toni Odom. She is an activist. I'm going to start with that first, but an entrepreneur, a filmmaker, and an author. Toni, how are you doing today?
I am wonderful. How are you?
I am fantastic. I want to thank you first for taking the time to be on the phone with me and allowing our audience to get a chance to know you a little bit more.
Sure.
Yeah. Let's talk about your career first. You've got a few titles under your name, entrepreneur being one, a filmmaker, another, an author, and as well as an activist. Describe that for us. Give us a little insight on those titles and what they mean to you and how that plays in your life.
Okay. Well, my father owned businesses, when I was growing up. So that really inspired me. He always said that you have to own your own in order to really make it in the world, because when you work for someone else can always determine your destiny. So that's why I was determined to have a business. So I've had several. I've done communications for the most part in my life. Now I've moved on to do some social media and things like that. So that is where that comes from. In terms of being an author, I've always loved to write, and so I've written several books, and I've toured with them, and I've written mainly titles for women. My main book was called Sisters and Sisterhood, where I was with the African American women on tour for a while, and I introduced the book then, and it basically looks at the relationship between black women, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So that's an important thing to me, and I guess I'm an activist really when it comes to that, in terms of trying to help women get to know themselves better, to improve their self-esteem, and then help them get out in the world and do things. I'm starting a new group called Women of Ida, named after Ida B. Wells. And as you know, she was an activist back in the day to help stop lynchings of black men. And I think that's important for black women to do today, because the police shootings of all these brothers are modern-day lynchings, in my opinion. So that's an organization I'm doing in terms of an activist. And then I guess you say as a filmmaker, I'm an award-winning web series producer, director, writer for a web series called Ahshe. And on that I said I want to be able to see something that I would like to watch that looks like me, feels like me. I can see different facets of our lives as African American people or as black people, and also just in how we look. Light, dark, short, tall, thick, skinny, natural hair, a little weave, whatever. I wanted to see a story like that, that shows some things that are important to us. So that's why I created Ahshe, because I'm just a go-getter type person. If I don't see it, I'm going to create it.
Yeah, I feel you on that. That is, we speak the same language there for sure. I want to tell the audience I got a chance to see Ahshe online and capture your work, and I was hooked from the first episode. I'm like, oh, what is going to go down here? Because I was in on that first episode, binged it that whole night, watched all 12 episodes.
Great.
There's characters that I hate.
Right.
And there's characters that I am rooting for.
Right.
So I am totally looking to work with you, from the DPV standpoint on that. And I'm always looking for content. And our mutual friend Vicki Lynn, she told me about you, and I've been following you and checking you out, and truly been having some great conversations. Just around life, period. So
yes,
totally on board with your journey for sure. Give us a little bit about, the aspect of women, because I was out last night, and actually, you don't even know what I look like, and not too many people online. I'm a short little black man that has a powerful mind. That's how I like to describe myself. And
right.
so, the non-threatening type of black man, according to society. So I was, I was at an event last night, and there was, got a chance to speak to some women. It was a restaurant, an anniversary for a restaurant in Harlem. But this woman too was stating that we're working with women and we're trying to build women. I'm like, okay, great. Women entrepreneurs from an economic standpoint. I said, can you? Right. But before even all that, I was telling her, hey, I'd love to be interviewed. She's got a radio show. And, I thought there was a little issue there. And so she described what her radio show was, and I said, still interview me. Because my thing is, I want women to be the movement behind the N2D'EE'P. For the very fact of what you're saying is that, men can't birth children. Right. That's my theory. And if anybody's got another theory, please let me know. But men can't birth children. Women do. Women birth young boys, and they birth young men. I mean, women and men. And so it's our children that are being shot in the streets. It's our young girls that are being either kidnapped or abused, or definitely abused in all ways that are against their queendomship. And so they lose. When you ruin the woman, you ruin the community.
Exactly.
I'm adamant against any black man hitting a woman, any black man mistreating a woman, because once you mistreat a woman, you have just ruined the foundation of the black community. You have just destroyed our path to abundance and greatness, because through her all things are created, and through her our community is nurtured. Through her we receive love, and if we are missing the love from our women, then how can we build? And I really think it's women, and I'm working with 2 women now actually that are going to help build men up, because it's from her that we are birthed, and so it only makes, to me, natural sense. So that, everybody, that's my premise. And so I'm looking for women to actually financially back us, because women are the largest growing entrepreneurs in America.
Right. We're most educated as well.
And that's where I was going next. And so with that education and the financial backing, again, it falls on the women. Every black movement fell on the woman. It's just the man was out front. But who was backing that man? Who was helping him come up with ideas and creativity? Who approved his movement to do what he did? Don't think it was all about a man's way of thinking. No, he consulted with his wife. If any man was smart enough, that's what he did. What do you think? It's the woman who has 6 senses to our 5, right? So talk a little bit more about your movement and what you're doing and how you're trying to heal the black woman.
Okay, I think a lot of it really goes back to self-esteem. Just like you're saying, the woman has a special duty, and in our culture, in African culture, it's women are seen as being more powerful, like you said, because of our ability to have children. So therefore, we were seen to be closer to God, or however you want to look at it. But I think what has happened in our culture so far, women have lost the art of being a woman. And too many of us have run up behind Europeans trying to do what they do. If you look at a lot of European women, they're just trying to be European men. They want to put their foot on your neck or do whatever just like their man does. So we are, worlds apart in terms of what our roles are, in my opinion, and what culturally how we've come. And as important as our role is as a woman, the power and strength of a black man is what we need. And unfortunately, too many brothers have gone south, and too many sisters have gone south. That's another book that I wrote called Man Up, Woman Up. And in that book, that's what I do. I look at who are we as a people in terms of what our roles are in terms of our culture, or who are we as a people as far as being manufactured. And I mean manufactured in the sense of after slavery and what that did to us, what the programming was to destroy us, because Europeans already know that the strength of a black woman, the strength of a black man, if it truly comes together the way it's supposed to, then black people would not be in the position that we're in. And we have got to look at that and understand what our key roles are, because we have to do this together. There's no other way. If I'm, as a black woman, I can be strong and all this all day long, but if I'm sitting there by myself, what is it? I still need you. I still need the strength of a black man and the love of a black man. And I think that's what we've gotten so far. Well, I don't need him. Honey, girl, I'm going to do this. Yes, you do. You do. And black men, same thing. Now, you can sit up here and date and marry or whatever, every other woman on the planet Earth that isn't black, but your genetic equal is me.
That's right.
So
that's right.
To be the true black man, in my opinion, that you should be, you need me, okay? Because anyone else is your daughter, genetically. So I know you're going to get some well, look, some heat on that one.
Well, I believe in the laws of the universe and the law of duality. The energetic law of gender, but it's not used in a physical term, but it's used in an energetic term, and we don't even understand that. You take that power of that male energy and that power of that female energy, it's what, is
a star and a set. Thank you.
Right. But see, we've been miseducated in thinking that this, well, they don't call it in the church's gender law, but this whole male-female thing is about procreation, when it really is about co-creation. When we come together and co-create, we can build probably a whole other universe for all we know. And that's why they separated our families in the 60s or the 50s, whenever those came. That's why even from slavery, that whole chatteling of who we are, breaking up the family. Our families have been broken up since the time we got here for the reason that even in the midnight hour, if you put a black man and a black woman together in the morning time, you won't know what could have manifested. And so they fear that. But they've studied it. We don't understand what the scientists of others are studying. And when you go into study and find out who we really are and the powers that we have as melanated beings, it is amazing to understand our truth and our knowledge. Yeah. It
is, and we need to get beyond the religion. Now, I am a Christian. I'll admit to that and claim that or whatever, but even Christians need to realize that every time Jesus revealed himself, it was to a woman. So if you really want to go there and really look at your power as a woman or whatever, that's it. And anybody that's a Christian that studies, they will tell you the same thing. You need to take a different look and a different take at the power that women have and have. And so, as you're saying, if we co-create, that's just it. We've never worked at an optimum level, in my opinion, of knowing who we are. And as my pastor, Jeremiah A. Wright Jr. would say, who we are, then that's when we're going to be able to really actualize ourselves in the power of our people. And that's spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally, and we won't even talk about economically, because right now we could cripple this country because we are total consumers.
Yeah.
And that is where what you're trying to do and what I'm trying to do and a lot of people are trying to do, if we understand our power of over $1 trillion, then we'll understand that if some of that money starts coming back through our hands, that's when we're going to be able to change the images, change the mindsets, change everything that is needed to get us to be strong people and return us, because that's the name of my company, Restore Communication. I want to restore us back to who we have been in the past. It's not that we've never been there. We have. We've just got to restore ourselves and get rid of all the garbage that's been pumped in our minds and in our communities to keep us down, period.
Right.
Why would the white man try so hard to keep you down if he didn't have something worth him being afraid of?
Oh, my God.
Think about
Speak my
that.
language. That's right. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
You can't keep something down that's already down. It doesn't need to be
right.
down.
Right.
You know.
Exactly.
You're only gonna, I was hoping that women would see that too. Like, why did they remove you from the equation? You know, women.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you must have something that is more empowering than a man. That they had to pull you out of that position.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think I once found the definition of queen. So, where did queens come from? But from Africa. Queen somewhere, and I think they removed it from the dictionary, but if you search and search and search, I remember finding it, Googling it, and then I know somebody told me, but queen meant the owner of land. So our queens, Sheba and all the rest, were the owners of land. And even when you look at the chessboard, the queen rules the board.
The whole board.
We don't look at a lot of things not only in nature. Well, actually, if you looked at nature, you would understand. I was in a pizza shop years ago, speaking to some brothers, and my question was always, which came first, the seed or the earth? And, the guy, and people just think, the seed or the earth, which came first, seed or the earth? And then they would say, some people would say the earth, some people would say the seed, but I'm like, if the seed came first, what would you plant it in?
Exactly.
Right. And so, I'm like, the earth, because I was raised Baptist, father being a deacon, mother being a missionary, so, but I always sat in the church and just thought, there's something wrong with this doctrine here. There's something wrong, and because I'm like, I always thought it was God, woman, man. For me, that was my belief, and it just didn't make sense that men would have all this. For me, men are to protect the earth. Men are to protect their women. Men are to protect the community. And even with some of my works, I'm like, I'm really going in here. I hope I don't lose any followers either. But even the Adam and Eve story for me is that the atom, if you know what the atom is scientifically, it's the outer shell with nothing inside. If you know what the womb is, the womb is it's the darkest place in the universe, which life is birthed from. And so Eve is the evolution of life, and Adam is the protector of life. And so that's my Adam-Eve story.
Or if you want to look at it, why did the snake go to Eve? He had to convince her first, so Adam was nothing to convince. No big deal. So he knew he had to come to the woman and get her to eat it first. Adam was no problem.
Go talk to that man of yours and tell him we need some wisdom.
Right. And like they said, when he looked at Eve and said, whoa, man, okay, woman. So, come on now. So that is it. I mean, even as misconstrued as something can be, if you look a little deeper, you'll see that, the power of women has always been around. It always has. And we just have to realize it.
Jesus told, was it John, to protect his mother? And
then when you look at the scripture where it says the man is the head, well, the word, when you take it back, meant the first to go into battle, not the head like I run you or I tell you what to do. It meant the first to go into battle. So it's always about protection. That is the role of a man, and when you look at what the roles of women are, look at even in our culture, in African culture, it's the women that ran the stores or kept the markets and kept the trade and did all that, and then the men went out and got the food or whatever, and that was basically what they did. So all we got to do is go back and look at our own culture
Exactly.
and stop running behind somebody else's culture that's not ours. That is the $999 million question, if you ask me, is that know thyself. Until you do that, if you keep chasing all these other things, that's why we're in the shape that we're in. We're still having that argument as to who should be what, or, who light, who's dark, who is going to follow this, it needs to stop. We know there's a science to business, there's a science to everything. So study that science and then make it happen and make it be effective. And then that's when we're going to be where we need to be.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So your restoration businesses, Restore Publishing, I think you have Restore.
Mm-hmm. Restore Films and Restore Communications. Exactly.
So the written, the visual, and the verbal, it sounds like.
Right. Exactly.
I like that. A triple threat.
Good. Yes, I am. Watch out there now.
So I understand that you're from Chicago.
Yes, I lived there many, many years. I was born in Memphis and grew up in St. Louis, and then I moved to Chicago. So I was there, a lot of years. So I claim Chicago, but I grew up in St. Louis. So shout out to the Lou as well. And it's just a whole different thing that helped teach me the importance of knowing our culture as well.
Right.
So, when you really look at some of the people that even came out of St. Louis, from Dick Gregory to, Sid the Entertainer, whoever, there are some strong black folks in St. Louis as well. So I'm proud to be from there as well.
So what got you into the entertainment? What got you into the filmmaking and, doing Ahshe and, where does that come from?
I think it, like you said, with me wanting to do the visual, I know how important. I think one thing that really impacted me was looking at the movie Boys in the Hood, and at that time I was teaching at a business college, and I had grown men coming in my classroom with pacifiers in their mouth. Okay? And I thought, wait a minute, they saw this in a movie. And I wish I had some stock in pacifiers at the time, because I'm sure it went up because of all these young men.
Oh, wait. Literally. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Okay.
Just like the movie.
Yeah, but I didn't think anybody was following that trend. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
Sir.
Okay.
That's when I knew how powerful the visual medium is. I mean, I went into communications always because I love to write. But after I got past that, when I saw that, it let me know how powerful visual image is. And that is the problem. When people look even at President Obama, whether you like him, don't like him, whatever, my thing was the fact that the visual image of a black man, him walking up there to that podium or getting on Air Force One or what, the visual is worth everything to me.
Yes, it is.
And so whatever you want to say about his administration or whatever, I think if there's anything I took from it was that. And I think that's what we've got to do more of in terms of our visuals, because when do you see black people loving each other? When do you see images of a black man and woman together loving each other? You don't.
No.
You don't.
No.
And that has impacted us as a people as well. So we already know Hollywood crafts these images, and if you look at anything, all black folks are poor, or even if they got a little money, they still ghetto. Housewives of Atlanta, excuse me. It's just the same old. I always want to know, well, when are you going to have some black folks with money that are smart, that are doing what they got to do? Right. What about, why is it always a drug story or whatever? You know what, my critique of, what's the movie, the TV show with Cookie and
Power or Empire?
Empire. empire. Now, you could have took that same storyline and made black folks be intelligent,
right,
and still do the same storyline and let the show still be popular. But no, you got to be ignorant, you got to be ghetto, you got to be whatever. And we fall for it every time. So that's why they keep giving us the same old, same old. And my thing is, don't get me wrong, I'm all for entertainment, as that's cool. But there are ways that we can be entertained without everything being drug-related or ghetto. And I guess that's where I am in my show. I don't have drugs or anything. I have the FBI watching you, or I have some things that are real in our experience, but it's a different storyline. It doesn't always have to be that drug-related.
Right, leverage. Because, I there's a few playwrights and filmmakers here in New York. I keep saying I love your work because I see me. I'm not the drug dealer. I'm not pimping anybody.
Right.
I'm not stealing, robbing, and then I dress pretty much like Russell Simmons. So, I don't see any of me since the 70s or the 80s, maybe not even the 90s because it was done by then. That represents me.
Exactly.
And,
someone that's intelligent, that's smart, that went to college, that did whatever. That's what I mean. That's what I mean. Where is it? Or who do you love? What do you do? Where do you go? Who do you hang out with? I want to see more of that. I want to see some love stories. I want to see, and not where I'm waiting on you to get out of jail.
Right.
Or, oh, my God, you got shot, and now am I going to stay with you now that you're in a wheelchair? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. Yeah. So it's got to change. We just got to change our mindset and change and create some things and then get the money. Like you're saying, we're sisters. If we want to do it, we can pull together and put our money where our mouth is and make it happen, because you can't ask your oppressor for freedom, and you can't keep asking them for money and think you're going to be able to make the kind of film that we're talking about. It's not going to happen.
Exactly. It takes black
you
to be
black. You got to pay
black.
for it yourself.
That's right. I said it takes black to be black. And
it does.
We have to understand that nothing in this country is given to you, so stop asking for it.
No, not going to happen.
Let's work for it. I think we forget, I'm pretty much saying this almost on every interview that I've had, we need to praise our Black Wall Street. We need to praise the people that actually came together as a collective black community and created a community that was sustainable. We didn't tear it down. Others tore it down, but the thing is, it doesn't take much to it doesn't take much to rebuild it. It wasn't just Kansas City. Yeah, we can. We have more resources and availability for us to do it now, and we just have to get than ever.
That's it.
We can't.
More than ever. Everybody got a tablet, cell phone, computers. We all have all this education, degrees, everything that we need. And if we, as Martin Luther King said, can't nobody ride your back unless it's bent. If you stand up and say, right now, we could say, okay, there's this little town in California. Hey, everybody, let's go there. Let's create some jobs. As you said with the Black Wall Street, okay, we need a doctor, we need a lawyer, we need a dentist, all of us, we're going to all move here and do it. We've had migrations before.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Look how even just a few years ago, everybody went to Houston or everybody went to Atlanta for opportunity. Well, create your own, and we can start a little town anywhere in this country and come together and be self-sustaining and have a black police force that you don't have to worry about shooting you.
Exactly.
Just do the work.
That's right.
Do the work and get it done, or keep begging somebody, and don't let me get started because we'll be on here 20 minutes. But don't get me started with you, why y'all shooting us? And they've been doing it. This ain't nothing new, but what you going to do about it? Right. And that's what Women Out Ida is going to be about. What are we going to do about it?
Right.
And my thing is we need to make sure there is some justice. If enough of them get convicted, and trust me, they're in jail with all the brothers they locked up, trust and believe a cop is going to think again before he stops you and harasses you. Trust me. But you got to get them in jail. Nobody ever goes to jail. When the argument is always, well, you're killing yourself. First of all, there are criminal elements in every racial group. And my thing is, those boys doing that, most of them go to jail and go to prison. What cop has been locked up for killing us? I could count on one hand. So I don't even want to hear that when you always got, that's that victim mentality that you always got to bring stuff back to us, not how improper their behavior is. And look at this cop that just shot this woman and her child.
Yes,
In Baltimore, are you serious?
Yeah. There's so many ways
so
to go about that.
You get no respect because you don't command in it. And that's what I'm saying. Because wouldn't nobody matter? You think if her last name ended in a vowel and she was Italian, you think that would happen?
No.
Nope.
No, not at all. And everybody's talking about that. Totally not. Totally not. Ridiculous. But, my thing is, why don't they do background checks on cops? I think that's something that we should start doing, too. You don't know how mentally insane these people are either. Some of these guys are Agent Orange down.
They're just racist. They're racist as hell. And you
racism
really can't.
is a mental illness.
Right. It is, the disease of white people. But the bottom, and Einstein coined that phrase, by the way. What happens, though, is I don't give a damn how racist or whatever, but if you know you're going to get locked up if you mess with me, that's all I need to do. Because there's going to always be racist. There are always going to be crazy cops. However, they will check themselves if they know what is going to be the bottom line if they get out of order. Period.
Exactly.
I don't want to hear about no diversity training and yada, 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 woo-woo. Not going to happen. That happens already. It doesn't work.
You convict, they must be no availability either for them to get guns. You remove their ability to own a gun.
Exactly. There needs to be a national database so they can't go from one station to another. It's ways to do it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Period.
You shoot someone in cold blood, you're restricted. Just as much as they want to do it for the civil community, they need to do it for the public service people.
For them. And thank God somebody finally knocked the hell out of Zimmerman. I'm like, how long did that take?
He should be in jail.
He should be. Look at that whole thing. So he wasn't even a cop. He was trying to play like one.
Right. And that there should have been, and that there should have been a clue that this man had a mental illness, that you're going to try to assume or play that you're a cop. Again, false. Exactly. It's almost like calling fire in a mall or a movie theater. You can't do that.
And he got away with it.
Right. Right.
So it's going to change. I still believe, I still have a positive attitude because the Bible does say the first shall be last and the last shall be first. And I already know that's going to happen.
Everybody read their Revelations, and we know that the New Age has already started. So we do rise and we do win, and that is what we should concentrate on and move on. I think when you see solutions taking place, you're creating solutions, I'm creating solutions, Vicki Lynn's creating solutions, Dante is creating solutions, Pepper Miller's creating solutions. I have a slew of people that will be interviewed under this N2D'EE'P. We are all creating solutions. Supporting the solutions will create the change that we want to see.
It will.
We want to see as a community. And you cannot, once that force has already taken place and is in motion, there's no way of stopping it. Because we are those that are creating solutions that are real. We are living on the backs of the Harriet Tubmans, the
ancestors,
Bethunes, who started this, and we are carrying that ball to freedom. And we've hit the north, and we know where the star is. So now that we've landed, with our feet solid on the ground, there are people who have solutions, and it's not always the so-called leaders. Just because you're on TV doesn't make you a leader. Just because you are on the radio or getting paid by government dollars doesn't mean, or advertisement dollars, means that you are a leader and the voice of the community. Right. There are voices that are in the community that are not being heard or are on the digital platforms that are independently owned. Those are the new voices for the new black. And actually we talk about the new black image. And that's what you should be looking for and supporting it. But, read, view, I tell my godson, read everything and make your own opinion. But just be aware.
And we're all leaders. If the Mississippi River is flowing, if you take a bucket out, that doesn't stop it.
That's right.
When birds fly south, they don't wait for a bird to come tell them. They all know what they got to do, and they do it. And they fly in formation, and when the bird in front gets tired, he goes to the back, and then the other ones move up. If animals, like you said, we need to listen to them. If they know and they can do that, why can't we?
Why can't we? We are all from Mother Nature, right?
That's it.
That's it. Toni.
That's it.
Toni, always a pleasure to speak with you, sister. I tell you. I'm afraid to come out to California, have lunch. We open the place, close the place, and open it the next morning.
We would. But that's all right, though.
That's right. They're like, you still here? Yeah, we're waiting for breakfast.
Yeah, we're waiting for breakfast now. I love to eat. Come on.
So, a pleasure speaking with you. I'm looking forward to the live stream with you. On September 24th, everybody, you're going to get the chance to meet this lovely, beautiful, powerful queen live and in person on VPVN on September 24th and get a chance to interact and really have a conversation about moving us forward into a new generation of black media. So stay tuned, stay around. And again, Toni, thank you. Appreciate you always.
You're so welcome.